Yeah, it looked like he pounded out about 10 points in the last 20 seconds.
He did. It was 6-3 at one point with about a minute and a half to go.
It looked like he had waited to the point where he felt, yes, I'm okay coming off that injury, and then he opened up.
He sure did.
He wants to be.
Here at 126, Ed Regan back in action for Lehigh. He's a sophomore from Fullerton, California, 10-4. Ed was doing some good wrestling at 118 earlier in the season. John Venesile, 16-8, Middlesburg Heights, Ohio, freshman for Edinboro.
Spins around. Well, there's a questionable two in my mind, because when he spun around, his hands were up in the air, and he was not with the supporting points down on the mat. So maybe you take a look on the replay when next time we get a chance at that two. We'll see if it really was two. As long as your hands are down, they're considered your supporting points. But by the time he got to the back position, his hands were up in my quick view. But nobody else in the gym said a word.
This is the weight that
so
John
it's 2000 to 2. It was Marv and me.
We both jumped at the same time.
John Eppley wrestled this weight class last year. He lost 10-9 to Rob Porter at 126.
Shell was with us too. Don't count him out. 2003.
Neutral.
Well, I don't know. I'm going to go along with the majority there, Marvin. 2-1 lead. John Venesile looking for his 17th win of the season for Edinboro. Ed Regan looking for his 11th for Lehigh.
Regan's just getting taken down, and this gang from Edinboro is doing well on its feet, as we got a 4-2 score, and all the takedowns have belonged to them in the first bout, and they belong here in the second bout. And we were commenting when Lehigh was last out in the last dual meet they had here against Oklahoma. They looked a little fire and brim and took it to Oklahoma and got a few takedowns. And but then again, I remember the Michigan meet where they didn't get anything. They looked flat and they got hammered. And the crowd is certainly sitting around anxious to participate in some yelling and screaming, but so far there's nothing to be offered. Dennis Scholl editorialized on that at some degree, that the fans aren't rooting the team on, and
let's go.
A lot of the fans turn around, what's there to root for? So that's why it's quiet tonight.
Here we go.
There's Thad Turner.
Well, they're not wrestling the Sisters of the Great Covenant. You know, this is a very, very strong team. It's been built together in a very short time.
But I was watching that Iowa State meet today, and there was a lot of intensity, but it was on the bench. The kids, the wrestlers were up screaming and yelling, and all the animation and the electric was in the air. When you look down there, it's a rather docile, quiet group. Each doing their own thing. Nobody yelling and screaming. It's got to start both in the fans and off the floor. Can't be blamed to the fans.
4-2. John Venesile out in front of Ed Regan. Edinboro leading Lehigh 4-0 here at 126.
Coming up on 41 seconds, and it's a stalemate.
Fran Michael calls it a stalemate. 41 seconds to go. Edinboro coach Mike Deanna looking on.
See, his assistant coach is behind him, that rather large individual, Baumgartner.
Pretty fair wrestler.
He's got fairly good credentials, too.
Yes.
Size is one of them.
Well,
size has a certain virtue.
Let's go.
Yes, it has that kind of a way of getting things across. Where did Baumgartner? He was coaching at Wisconsin, correct? And he moved from there to Edinboro, but he wrestled in college at.
That's warning Edinboro. Warning Edinboro.
Wasn't he at Portland or Lockport or one of those places?
No.
Here we go.
No.
Right here. Let's shoot. Don't.
Stalling warning against Edinboro. 4-2 on the board with 3 seconds left, and the first period will end up that way.
Lehigh, your choice.
Edinboro in the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference Tournament, which is the one that was held up at Penn State, finished third in that tournament. Lock Haven and Bloomsburg.
Well, you're pushing them.
were
You're not
1 and
shooting.
2.
You got your head buried,
That was
and
the
you're pushing 'em.
PSAC tourney.
Yes, go underneath. Let's go.
Cleveland State's
Here we go.
Zoharensky defeated Sean O'Day
Good set.
4-3 in that
Top.
match. Regan trying to hold on, but we're going to get the escape to make it 5-2 as Venesile has none of that. Took him 7 seconds to get out.
Venesile came out of there. I think if you make your mind up, you're going to stand up. That's just practically a teaching film. Ripping the arm off, taking the hand control away, driving the leg out. Did all the things you're supposed to do. Tough kid.
A lot of wrestling. I guess, Shell, you and I adequately explained to the listening audience the last time about why the Oklahoma wrestler Oklahoma State wrestler didn't make the trip because he had 21 dates. He didn't want to exceed the 21 dates. And then when I read both local papers, they talked about 21 appearances. And it's not 21 appearances. Each time you wrestle, it's a date. If you wrestle 5 times in one day, it's just one date. So 21 appearances is nothing.
Well, you know, the other thing, Larry, about that, it was evident before Oklahoma State made that trip that one of those matches he was not going to have to be able to wrestle.
Right.
And he probably selected the Lehigh match on the front end of that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in many ways, it was very predictable way in advance that he would not be wrestling at 134.
Don't you wonder, though, why a school with a program like that didn't bring another 34? Maybe the legislature cut the travel budget down.
Yeah, down to $500,000.
They did have some other lighter weights on the bench, so they looked like they might have had another 26 that could have gone in there and at least not given away 6.
Yeah. The thing that's bad, though, is that the NCAA, the Coaches Association, makes its money, whatever money they make, on hosting or being the sponsors for the All-Star meet. And the NCAA includes the All-Star meet. I think the coaches write the rules. They should go to the NCAA and say, hey, the All-Star meet is a voluntary appearance, so don't count it as a date. Regan in too far and gets lateral, spin around, and scores 7-2, and you see the time remaining, 12 seconds.
Sandy Snyder suggested that they might have wrestled Kendall Cross in that weight class since he had made the trip. And it's highly conjectural he would have been pinned or forfeited. He would not have given away 6 with his record. In any event, this particular bout, Ed Regan now down 7-2, being handled very easily by John Venesile as the period concludes.
Correct? No, I'm sorry, Lehigh's choice, correct?
Well, look at that last takedown by Venesile.
Lehigh chooses down.
Well, Regan's in way up, and he left that elbow up, and Venesile just put his left arm under there and gave him a toss, a little flip, and swung around.
Top.
Now, Mr. Walensik knows that when you dive in, don't leave your arms open like a goose because they'll go up underneath. Keep your elbows in tight.
Especially with guys who are coached like these guys who can spin around on you. They get that one underhook in and they're around you. They're floating quick.
Yeah, if you go in with like a swan with your arms open when you're down there, there's a high bar being put in on Regan with the near leg.
1, 2,
Tough.
3, 4. No. 1, 2, 3. 2 earned. 2.
You know, the reason he's counting is you must have 5 continuous seconds of exposure to get 3-point near fall. First you need 2 to get 2 points, and then you need 5 seconds to get 3. So he counts it off. It's 9-2 on the board. And
since Marvin became active in helping us with announcing, I went back into some of the old Brown University yearbooks and found a picture of Marvin posing with the wrestling team in 1956, and I didn't realize he was a 118-pounder. Did you realize that, Larry, to look at him today?
Here. Let's go.
what did he wrestle, 140?
No, really, what was it, Marvin? What was it? He was a heavyweight.
Unlimited.
Even then.
Unlimited. Unlimited.
Top.
No, what I thought was really
I weighed
interesting.
118 the day I was born, I think.
What I think was the most interesting, Marvin, and this is not a gag, was that there were only 7 guys in the whole photo.
Slam.
Well, that's all that showed up that day. There was a big lab day. A lot of fellas have labs.
41 seconds remaining, and it's a 7-point spread plus time advantage for John Venesile, who's a freshman, looking pretty tough out there, handling Lehigh's Ed Regan with no difficulty.
Those are the times when a coach has to say, well, I've only got 3 more years to have this kid, right? Tough cookie.
Watch that arm.
He's moving
Watch
up
that
front,
arm.
trying to work a bar. And Regan, that could have been costly with 12 seconds to go. He lost a 4-point decision. He had 7 points plus time, and he went up front, got a little too hungry. But with 4 seconds to go, he may take Regan down and make it a 4-pointer after all. And he doesn't.
And it will end 10-3, just missing by 1, as Larry said. 3 more points on the board for the Flying Scots, and Edinboro now leads Lehigh by a score of 7-0.
Yeah, it's tough to understand sometimes. I wonder if the team concept of wrestling is going out of wrestling, or do you think it's becoming individualized? I mean, he's got to know the man.